If you're a woman in her late 30s and early 40s and you're feeling all sorts of changes happening, it's not in your head. Your body, your brain, and your hormones are absolutely changing. So in this video, I'm going to get into all the details of what is happening in perimenopause and help you through it. Hello, I am Tina Haupert. I am the woman behind the Carrots and Cake brand. Carrots and Cake is all about having your carrots and cake too. It's very much a healthy living lifestyle where 80% of the time you are doing the right things, eating the nutritious foods, working out, and 20% of the time you are living life to its fullest, enjoying maybe the not so healthy things. It's all about finding that balance. But in this video, I am going to share all the details about perimenopause, help you figure out if you're in perimenopause or not, and what to do about it, what to make that transition easier. Perimenopause is basically that time right before menopause. So menopause, of course, is when your hormones really slow down. You have very, very low hormones. But basically, this perimenopause time is a transition between those normal menstruating years where you have a regular cycle, regular period, normal hormones, and then perimenopause is really all about that transition. So perimenopause is really a series of events. But basically, this series of events is we start losing progesterone, we have high and fluctuating estrogen levels, estrogen starts to slow down, and then our bodies really become less resilient as far as stress goes. I mean, a lot of times we start to see insulin resistance or issues as far as insulin sensitivity goes. And this is where we start to gain weight. So a lot of women we work with, they complain about doing the same things they've always done as far as their nutrition and their workouts, and really things haven't changed too much, but they've gained 10, 15, 20 pounds, and they're really having trouble getting that weight off. So perimenopause is all about doing things a little bit different because what worked in your 20s no longer works in your late 30s and 40s and beyond. So on average, this transition as far as perimenopause goes takes anywhere from 4 to 8 years, but it can take up to 10 years to really make this transition. Of course, it depends on the woman, depends on her hormones, depends on her lifestyle, but it's really important to get your ducks in a row here because you don't need to suffer through all of these changes and horrible symptoms and everything that goes along with shifting hormones. So I'm hoping this video really helps you figure out what to do so you don't have to suffer. You don't have to feel like a crazy person, and you can really feel your best during this transition. So we'll get into all those details. So perimenopause can happen anywhere from your late 30s to your mid 40s. I think the average age is anywhere between 40 and 44, but it really can start at any point. And really, I think the biggest markers of perimenopause are just irregular cycles or things that are happening as far as your cycles go. They suddenly become shorter, they suddenly become longer, your period gets heavier, it gets lighter. I think just changes in your menstrual cycle and period are kind of the big signals that, hello, you have entered perimenopause. Other perimenopause symptoms are anxiousness, sugar cravings, dry skin, dry hair, dry eyes, feeling more emotional and more irritable, feeling tired, fatigue, unmotivated, hair loss, hot flashes, night sweats, low thyroid function definitely goes hand in hand. Sometimes you'll see higher cholesterol levels, swelling and bloating, water retention, trouble sleeping, insomnia, weight gain, fat loss resistance, and again, a lot of changes as far as your periods and cycles go. So as you can see, there are a lot of hormonal symptoms that go hand in hand with perimenopause. But of course, there are other systems that are very much affected as far as your thyroid, your blood sugar levels, your metabolism, your cholesterol. So like I said, perimenopause is not one single thing. It really is a series of events and a series of symptoms. Okay, so now you know what perimenopause is all about. Hopefully this video is resonating with you. And if you've watched it this far, you're probably wondering, what the heck should I do? How do I feel better? How do I stop this hormonal madness? And I have some ideas for you. So the first thing that I want to suggest is probably the most annoying to hear, but I think the most important is really managing our stress. And I know we're all stressed. I mean, I know myself, I'm a working mom. I'm trying to do all the right things as far as my health and fitness go. And most days I am running around like a chicken with its head cut off. Hopefully you understand what I mean by that. But really, it's been hard for me to manage stress, but anybody who's in the same boat, stress can really make perimenopause symptoms worse because, like I was saying in the beginning, our hormones start to slow down. So we become less resilient to stress. And when we're less resilient to stress, our cortisol levels are going to be more elevated and we're going to struggle as far as blood sugar goes. And when blood sugar is out of whack, that's when we see the weight gain or the fat loss resistance. So if you are gaining weight, you're struggling with your weight, it really is all about managing that stress and making sure your blood sugar is balanced. So a few ideas for quote unquote stress management. And these are some of the things that have personally helped me. So I think the biggest one for me is establishing this bedtime routine. So at the end of the day, after we've had dinner, we've cleaned up from dinner, I go upstairs, I take a hot shower, I have time to myself, I get into my cozy pajamas, I do my, face routine and beauty products and everything like that. And then I'll get into bed, I'll journal, I'll read, but I'll really take the time to wind down my body. And I feel like when my body's in that kind of rested state, I just feel so much more calm and I get better sleep. Another thing I've done is gotten a weighted blanket, and it might sound a little silly, but it is one of the best things I have done for my sleep. It really helps calm my body and I sleep so much better. I can't recommend a weighted blanket enough. And you can get them pretty affordably. I bought one for my son. I bought one for my mom. You can get them from Target. Just love a good weighted blanket. Other ways that I distress, when I'm having like a really tough day, I'll go to Target and just walk around aimlessly for like 20 minutes, a half an hour. I mean, I should say I don't usually buy things, but every time I go to Target, I end up buying something. But really just being alone, shopping on my own time, that can be really, really helpful. Also just going for a walk around the neighborhood. I'll put some headphones in, listen to some music or a podcast. But for me, it's about getting away and just having that alone time and recharging. So these are just things that have helped me personally, but think of some things that help you reset and recharge. And really just do your best to prioritize yourself. I know it's hard, especially if you're a mom, you're working full time, but anything you can do to manage that stress and sleep better is really going to benefit you in the long run. The next recommendation is related to nutrition and your diet and what you are eating. So as I mentioned, blood sugar balance is key in perimenopause. This is so, so important. And if you want to maintain your weight, you want to lose weight, this is so important. I see it again and again. Clients are on that borderline of prediabetes. They have some insulin resistance going on, and it's happening in their late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s. And obviously you want to nip this in the bud before it gets out of control. So what to do with your diet? I think prioritizing protein is really going to be important. I think most women probably need pretty close to 100 grams of protein or more per day. And so it might seem like a lot of protein, but what I tell clients is to divide that number by the number of meals that you're eating per day. So most of your meals should have 30 to 40 grams of protein, depending on how many times a day that you eat. But prioritizing this protein is going to help stabilize your blood sugar so you don't have those highs and lows of blood sugar. You really want your blood sugar to stay steady so you're not dealing with energy shifts, craving shifts, getting hangry between meals, things like that. So when you're building your meals, prioritize protein and then add in some good sources of fiber and those slow digesting carbohydrates. So the ones that have a good amount of fiber, so beans and lentils and low glycemic fruits like berries and plums and grapefruit, and adding some root vegetables as far as parsnips and carrots and things like that. So just doing your best to add some fiber to every single meal. And then I think a little bit of fat that's naturally occurring occurring in the food, or you could add some as far as whole food sources go. So coconut oil, avocados, olives, but having some sort of fat too, plus the fiber, plus the protein will best stabilize your blood sugar. The next thing that is really important in perimenopause is building muscle and really prioritizing strength training when it comes to your workouts, because as we age, it becomes harder and harder to build and maintain muscle. So again, making sure you're eating enough protein, it's really important for building and maintaining muscle, but also making sure you're doing strength training on a regular basis. So 3 times a week, 4 times a week, I think that could be a good place to start. But doing, full body workouts a few times a week can be really, really important as far as building and maintaining that muscle. So the thing about building muscle during perimenopause is that it is quite a bit harder than it was in your 20s and 30s. And that's because our testosterone is getting lower and lower as we approach menopause. So as I say to my clients, you got to use it or you're going to lose it. So if you haven't started a strength training program, I'm going to give a shout out to my Strong Made Simple strength training program. It's an at-home program. All you need is a set of dumbbells to do it. And it's a great starting place to start building that lean muscle. Lean muscle is also important because it makes us more sensitive to insulin and it changes our body composition for the better. It gives us that toned, strong look that we're all looking for. So I would definitely prioritize strength training and just movement in general. I think walking is an amazing way to make your body more sensitive again to that insulin. And even just getting outside, getting sunshine can be so good for the mind, body, and soul. So even just planning a few walking workouts into your week can be really, really great as far as maintaining your weight, weight loss, insulin sensitivity, all the things that are so important during perimenopause. So during perimenopause, our hormones are wacky. We have fluctuating estrogen. And the thing about hormones, we love hormones, they're great, but we really want to use them and lose them. You don't want them recirculating back through your system because that's when you're going to get those terrible symptoms that I mentioned before. So really you want to support your liver and your gut. Those are two of the ways that those excess hormones and toxins and pesticides and all that get out of your system. So I think some of the simplest things that you can do as far as supporting your liver and gut are making sure you're not consuming too much alcohol. I mean, I definitely got in the habit of having the daily glass of wine at the end of the night. So just watching your intake. I mean, this is carrots and cake world. I'm never going to say never have a cocktail or a beverage, but just making sure you're not drinking too much too often because the liver needs to process out alcohol. I mean, it's a toxin. It's going to be one of the first things that your liver prioritizes when you're having alcohol. And if it's processing that alcohol, it's not going to easily process all those extra hormones and toxins and everything. And if you're somebody who's really struggling with hormones and like ovulation's a really bad time for you, I would definitely look at your toxic load and make sure you're not consuming too much alcohol and caffeine, and looking at your beauty products to make sure they are natural, looking at your cleaning products, making sure you're not consuming a ton of bottled water and plastics and using a lot of plastics. There's just so many chemicals and hormone disruptors in our lives, and the liver needs to process all of that. So this is me to say just to clean up your lifestyle and make sure your body is able to detox. Your gut needs to be working properly. Like you really should be having a bowel movement every single day, if not, twice a day or 3 times a day, because again, your bowel movements are helping to get out those extra hormones, especially estrogen. And if you are struggling with constipation, you're not going to the bathroom every single day, you're probably going to have some of these hormonal symptoms as far as those extra hormones, toxins, pesticides, all that stuff recycling back through your system. So making sure you're eating enough fiber, you're eating the right types of food, and making sure things are moving along as far as your GI system goes. So during perimenopause, with all of these crazy fluctuating hormones, it can be really helpful to do some hormonal testing just to see kind of where your hormones are and get that data, because once you have that data, you can make changes as far as what to do. So I think the simplest way is to request a hormone panel from your primary care doctor. And that's just a simple blood draw. They're going to draw your blood. They're going to see what's going on with your hormones. And of course, there's different times of month where it can be more helpful to draw that blood. So I typically tell women that if they want to see where their hormones are, the best time to test is between days 19 and 21 of a 28-day cycle, because in theory, you have ovulated and your hormones are going to be their highest. So it can give us an idea of what your hormones look like at their peak. Of course, you can get your hormones tested at any day of your cycle, but remember, they're going to be higher and lower depending on where you are in your cycle. So if you can aim for that window, it'd be really great. You can just make assumptions about what is going on with your hormones a little bit better there. But of course, communicate with your doctor, ask questions. They can explain what's going on as far as those hormone levels go. If you are having trouble getting this information from your doctor, some doctors won't easily run a hormone panel. You can always come to us. We use the Dutch test as far as testing hormones with our clients. So the Dutch test is the dried urine test for comprehensive hormones. You can always get it right through their website. The only thing is you need somebody to interpret the results. So that's where we can come in. If you are interested in working with our team, definitely apply. We can send you the details as far as running the Dutch test. It is really simple to do. You do it at home. You get a kit right in the mail. You urinate on these little strips of paper, you let them dry, you send them off to the lab. But the Dutch test gives you so much information. It tells you about your sex hormones, so the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, but it also gives you information about your cortisol levels. And that is so, so important as far as our blood sugar balance goes, that weight gain, the weight loss that goes along with perimenopause a lot of the time. And then also there is a section on the test that gives us information on how your body is detoxing that estrogen. So there's certain pathways that estrogen leaves the body as far as like the liver and the gut and all that. But optimizing those pathways and having this data can be really, really helpful as far as making changes to your diet and lifestyle, and maybe a little bit of supplementation to make sure all of that extra estrogen is getting out of your body. So it's an amazing test. It also has a melatonin marker. So if you're having trouble with sleep, it can give us some insight there. It is just a great, great test. So if you're a woman in perimenopause, you are really struggling right now with your hormones, I have a couple options for you. So one is, of course, apply to work with our team. We can help you out as far as the hormone testing goes and help set you up with a plan as far as what to do with your nutrition, your fitness, and your lifestyle. So I'll include that link. Feel free to apply. It's totally free to do so. And then I also have a freebie for you. So I have a hormonal health meal plan that can really help you make sense of what to eat during this time. Because like I said, you really want to prioritize protein and fiber and good sources of fat. So this hormonal health meal plan basically divides your cycle into the follicular phase and the luteal phase and tells you exactly what to eat. It even gives you a grocery shopping list that you can bring right to the grocery store. And then there's also a bunch of recipes that you can use as a way to incorporate these foods into your diet. But it is a great plan. It is super duper helpful. And obviously nutrition makes a huge impact on how we feel health-wise and also as far as hormonal balance goes. And this is where I always tell clients to start. Pay attention to your diet, eat the right things, make sure you have the right macro balance. And this resource is a really great place to start. So I'll include the link. It's totally free. Just sign up. It'll be delivered right to your inbox and you can download the resource. So if this video resonated with you, let me know. I would love to hear in the comments how you are doing in perimenopause, if you're in perimenopause, how you're dealing with the symptoms. I just feel like this is a topic that is not talked about enough. And as a woman who is very much in this phase of life, I just want to share information and get it out there so all of us can get through this crazy time together. So I would love for you to take a second to like this video, share it with other women who it might resonate with as well. And be sure to subscribe to my channel because there is going to be a lot more information about perimenopause, fat loss, weight loss in this time in our lives, and how to best navigate perimenopause together.